Today we have very special guests, Dr. Gulrez Sheikh, author and columnist, geopolitical issue from India. Thank you very much, Gulrez, for agreeing to take part in this interview. India is very important.
My pleasure.
Oh, great.
My pleasure, Ruslan.
Thank you very much. India is very important state for the world and Ukraine, and I'm sure that this will be very interesting and useful for the Ukrainian and international audience to learn more about the attitude of Indian society, the state and scientists to Ukrainian-Russian war, the modern global position of India in a rapidly changing world, and the rebuilding of international political and economical system. Let me start from the question, how does Indian society feel about the Russian invasion to Ukraine? Have you any sociological surveys on this topic? Who supports Ukraine or Russian more? Is there a difference between different social groups, for example, young people and old people, good educated and bad educated? How, in general, in your society, feel this war, and is this war worrying Indian society at all or not?
See, Ruslan, it is very difficult to say what are the masses of India are thinking about. It's a very big, huge society, and there has been no credible media house who has done any survey till now, or any international agency which can show me the view of most of the Indians, which party they support. Though there is a lot of warmth in India for Russia in general, and it has got historical roots and historical reasons behind it. But at the same time, most Indians I meet or I talk on social media or even on the television discussions, they don't approve the violence, they don't approve war, and they want that all the hostilities and violence must cease. But if you ask me who they support more, it's rather a difficult $1 million question, and it's not easy to answer, because if you even see the social media, it's divided. And even if you see the mainstream media houses, they are also divided. But one thing is sure, nobody approves violence, nobody approves war, and everybody in the Indian society across the board, they want the war must end, and it must end soon.
And I also took participation in a few debates in Indian TV channels, and it's only my opinion. Maybe it's not representative opinion, but in the beginning of this conflict, this war, I feel such behavior to me like Ukraine is a victim of geopolitical game, and the main goal, the main problem of your problem is your dependence from the Western countries, something like this. It was a lot of pro-Russian position and a lot of claiming of our Ukrainian mistakes, geopolitical mistakes. Now, last weeks, I feel that in many situations, I feel that Indian journalists come to Ukrainian position, and they support more and more Ukrainians and more Ukrainian position. Is it true, or it's only my opinion?
There is one belief across the board, and I can't speak for everybody, but it's my own belief as well, that unfortunately, very unfortunately, Russia is going to fight up till the last Ukrainian, and the West is also going to fight up till last Ukrainian. But nobody is talking or nobody is caring about that poor last Ukrainian who is being sacrificed in this battle of power. This is a geopolitical game, and Ukraine is a victim.
Yeah, you're right. And when in Ukraine we have such a proverb which says that when the high, very important people are, when they have conflict, the low people, middle people are dying. It always happens around the world, and I think it's the main goal of many sovereign countries is to become neutral, to become out of the conflict, geopolitical conflict between the big states. So, what is the strategy of Indian government regarding this war? How Indian government looks on the international law, the integrity, security guarantees through this war, through this conflict.
See, as far as the government of India believes in sovereignty, territorial integrity, and rule-based world order. But at the same time, India has always been and still it is a non-aligned nation. So we don't take sides, but we believe that Russia has a right of its security, and Ukrainian people have a right to life and their country.
It's also a problem because we see how India has not joined to the sanction against Russian Federation. We see India is increasing import of more cheaper Russian energy resources. India does not vote for the anti-Russian resolutions in the United Nations, and moreover, India promised to take Ukrainian share in the world agricultural market because Ukrainian ports are blocked, seaports are blocked. In Ukraine, this is not perceived very well. Its position is India not afraid to worsen its relation with Ukraine, also with United States, European Union. How do you think? Even the United States President Joe Biden recently called on the Indian leadership to join the sanction against the Russian Federation, but India plays her own role.
See, India has maintained one thing, not only in this conflict, but even in the previous conflicts, that we do not approve unilateral sanctions by any country. We approve the United Nations sanctions only, and we follow it very religiously if there is a UN sanction. Let me ask you one more question, brother. Let it be Iran, let it be Venezuela, let it be North Korea, let it be Russia, any country. Has the sanction changed the regime anytime? No, let it be Cuba. In 60 years, Cuba has been under sanctions from past 60 years, 6 decades. But who is suffering? The common people of that country is suffering, not the rulers of that country. So these sanctions have actually failed, and we also think that these sanctions are going to do nothing, but they will bring Russia more closer to China, on the lap of China, and that is even more, I'll say. That is to be one should be afraid of that, because this combination of Russia and China is not good. So I always believe in one thing. I'm not talking on behalf of government, because I am not a spokesperson of Indian government. So I have always written one thing in international journals as well, that the US should not push Russia to the wall, because if you will push Russia by sanctions to the wall, then they will have no space to lean upon other than China, and that will not be good for the world order. And under the Chinese hegemony, it will be a very, very ugly world.
It looks like Kissinger's nightmare of unition of Russia and China is growing up. Because of this.
No, I'm sorry to say, brother, I don't approve Kissinger, because he's the same gentleman who made China touchable. China was a untouchable nation, and he brought it to the mainstream and made it touchable. So I don't approve Kissinger, but yes, in this context, he was right. In this context.
And
One thing, if you don't know, let me remind you, this was the same Nixon and Kissinger who used to call Indians with racial slugs. They used to give sexist comments in their private conversation on India. So I don't approve that thing. And they were traveling from Pakistan to China to approve China, to be friend with China, to flirt with China without letting anybody know. This was all secretly going on, and they mainstreamed China and made it touchable. And today the world is suffering because of that Nixon-Kissinger doctrine. The China has become the grown-up dragon. From a small, cute dragon, it has become a mighty dragon.
maybe you're right. And how do you think in this situation, what for Western countries needed this sanction? Why they don't looking for another instrument or for influence for Russia or for helping for Ukraine? Because talking about the Western help to Ukraine, we are not satisfied also, because talking about this help, it's not enough, it's not on time, this help, and the bigger part of this help is not such thing which we are needed. They haven't given us any aircraft, rocket systems, for example. They will not. They are not going to open for us their markets. Many things we are not satisfied from Western help. Why they use sanctions, not another instrument? How do you think?
See, since past so many years, when I was writing about Ukraine, that Ukraine did a big mistake by abandoning its nuclear weapons in 2005, and everybody was telling me that you are a warmonger. But I was the one who was writing that if someday Russians came knocking on the doors of Kiev, then who is going to hold trigger for Ukrainians? Nobody will come to hold a trigger. And that day, unfortunately, came for you. And why you guys abandoned those nukes? You guys abandoned those nukes because you were wanting to be cozy with Western Europe. You were wanting for investments from Europe and West. You were wanting to be part of European Union. But same people, they are not coming in help to aid you properly. And I say in year 2008, it was the Bucharest session of NATO when the declaration was made, and they said that we welcome the wishes of Georgia and Ukraine to join NATO. And soon after that, Russia attacked Georgia. Then just before this current conflict of Ukraine, in the last session of NATO, it was reiterated that we reiterate our 2005's words of Ukraine joining NATO, and after that, Ukraine got attacked. So, since 2008, Ukraine is trying to be a part and parcel of NATO. They are not letting in. Ukraine was trying to become EU member. They didn't allow that. So, you tell me what they are doing for you guys. And as far as the sanction thing is concerned, you try to study the psychology of the governments who don't have an appetite for war. They want to show to their population that they are doing something, and they are doing something very heavy. So they put sanctions. This is the whole story of sanctions. Even when we conducted back in 1998 the atomic tests, India was under sanctions of United States. But when our economy grew, things changed.
Of course, moreover, I remind you and all our international audience that in 1994, Western countries together with Russia disarmed Ukraine. They taken all Ukrainian nuclear weapons, and
Why? Why?
moved this weapon to Russia. Moreover, they moved on or even rockets for aircraft, not nuclear, just ordinary rockets to aircraft to Russia. And nowadays, these rockets, which were moved to Russia in 1994, fall in Ukrainian areas or in Ukrainian territory. But it's a very hard question for Ukrainian dialogue. India is actively cooperating within the framework of Quad, United States, Australia, Japan, but at the same time, India is considers Russia like its partner and actively purchase weapons from it. What is the essence of the Indian model of geopolitical positioning? Non-alignment or neutrality? What is specific of Indian global position nowadays?
See, India maintains its independent foreign policy. You may ask me why. India is like that only, not from today, but it has always been independent in its approach towards foreign policy. Let me give you two good examples. When there was Indo-Chinese War in 1962, that time we were going close to United States of America, and we also got some help from the United States. But when in 1971, when we were having the Bangladesh war, we were fighting the Bangladesh war with Pakistan for the liberation of Bangladesh, because there were rapes and atrocities going on in that country, in that part of East Pakistan by the Pakistani army. So India fought for them for their independence. And that time, the United States of America sent its 7th Fleet against India to Bay of Bengal. It was being sent to the Bay of Bengal, and that time we approached USSR, and USSR sent its nuclear submarines to counter them. And due to the presence of those Russian submarines, nuclear submarines, they were not able to enter the Bay of Bengal to attack India or to threaten India. So and why we were able to do this? Because we were non-aligned. When we were also friendly with the United States of America, we were also friendly with USSR, and we were talking with them on equal terms as equal partners. So even if you look today, and let me be very practical, when you are asking me, you guys are taking weapons, you are purchasing weapons and cheaper oil from Russia. Don't forget one thing, that 70% of Indian Army's arsenal is Russian made. So we require the Russian weaponry. Plus, till now, I'm not saying what will happen in future, but till now the Western countries are not ready, and they are not willing to share technology, edge-cutting technology with India. But it is not the case with Russia. Russia goes for joint production and joint manufacturing. Thirdly, we are still not a very rich country, and compared to Russian weapon, see, we have to have a huge army, because we are facing China. We are already having border issues with China. In 2020 itself, we had deadly clashes with China. In 2017, we had a long standoff with China. The only country in the world who is directly countering China is India. So we need big army. We are having a huge army, huge military, and the American weapons are very costly compared to Russian weapons. Plus, they don't share technology. Why they don't share technology, I don't know, but they do not approve sharing of technology. And India needs technology and reliability. And Russia, you may not like it, but even when we were having hostile time with China in 2020, and deadly clashes were there, they were supplying us weapons.
I'm coming back you to one more important for me question.
Yes, let me tell you one more policy of India. Our policy. We can't allow China and Russia to be ally, at least in our region. If by the sanctions US is pushing Russia on the lap of China, they are doing it, but we can't allow that thing, that Sino-Russian partnership, at least in our region. We want a non-aligned Russia, at least when there is a war between India and China.
Okay, and moreover, we understand that the main regional partner of China is Pakistan. Is also, you have a lot of issues with Pakistan, and of course, if Russia will become a partner or younger partner for China, it should be a great problem for India. I think because Russia, China, and Pakistan is a problem for India. Am I right?
See. Russia is already a junior partner to China right now. But if you talk about Pakistan, it's a vassal state, it's a colony of China. And if you talk in Ukrainian context, I will say Pakistan is worse for us than Belarus for Ukraine.
Okay, it's placed through that Chinese troops.
Because Belarus is also a colony of Russia, like Pakistan is a colony of China.
I think historically is not so. I don't think so. There are many waves of this negotiation between Russia and Belarus. Sometimes, many years, Lukashenko was quite independent from Russia. And he was absolutely oriented on China, not on Russia also. But at this moment, it looks like Belarus is a part of Russia, not more.
Okay, let me ask you then one more thing, because you are more closer to that part of the world. I am just observing from distance. Now you talk about sanctions. Has sanctions affected Poroshenko? Lukashenko?
Yes, of course they made him more totalitarian and closer to Russia. Of course, we understand this game.
But did the regime change was there? No.
And I think it was a mistake of Ukrainian government.
What type of a guy is he who can land up a flying flight and to catch someone who was talking negative about him on YouTube?
he doesn't worry about it.
I said it was nothing but a state-sponsored hijack.
And this was our government mistake. After the last election in Belarus, protest in Belarus, Ukraine hasn't recognized Lukashenko and the Belarusian power. And so the field of maneuvering for the Lukashenko is closer. And so this is one reason why the Belarus was used by Russia in this war against Ukraine. If Ukraine should let Lukashenko to continue his game with Russia and West, I think maybe Belarusian territory was not used in this war against Ukraine. But of course, it's history already. One more question: is there a future, for your opinion, for the international non-alignment movement created by 120 countries in 1961 in a situation, a very common situation of nuclear crisis between the United States and USSR? India, for my opinion, India can be a leader for this format for countries that do not want to become parties or to the new conflict between the United States and Russia today.
See, Ruslan, there will be space for non-alignment and there will be appetite for non-alignment any time when world will encounter a Cold War. And this is the Cold War 2 going on because many countries do not want to be party of the fighting. They don't want to be part of the fighting parties. And just yesterday, we saw how 10 small Pacific island nations, which include countries, small island nations like Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, Kibiti, Papua New Guinea, Vanuatu, they all rejected China's trap to alliance via the Security Pact, Chinese Security Pact. So there is always and there will always remain an appetite for non-alignment because, see, most people in the world want peace. Nobody wants war, or even the atmosphere of war. It sucks. It sucks. Everybody wants to flourish under peace, not the hostilities or the clouds of war, the dark clouds of war. So India will remain a leader of non-aligned nations. We are a partner of Quad, and if push comes to the shove, we will fight China. And there is only one country in the world which can fight China directly by boots on the ground, and that is India. We are already facing China on our borders, and China has failed on our border badly.
Okay, great things are seen from afar or from above. That's what our people say. What do you think should be the solution of this war should be for Ukraine? Who and with whom should agree about what? From Indian side, of course, I understand you are far away from Ukraine. How this war between Russia and Ukraine, between Russia and Western world, should be stopped and should be resolved? Which models should be applicable for Ukraine and Eastern Europe? How do you think?
See, I think that in the recent times, unless somebody uses a nuke, there won't be any third world war, but there will be many wars like the war of Syria or like the war of Ukraine, and such wars causes huge human catastrophe. Countries have been put to the ground, and they have been actually wiped out from the map of civilization. Like we saw the case of Syria, and if next 6 months the war in Ukraine continues, a large part of Ukraine will also become like Syria. Already the eastern part has become like Syria. So I think these proxy wars are the worst for the people where the proxies fight. And I think the best possible way is that your President Zelensky must directly talk to Putin without anybody intermediate. And that can only bring peace, because, see, tell me one thing. Even tomorrow the war stops, but West has pumped in so many small weapons in your country. Then you will have to fight the gangs. Then the entire society will be in the hands of criminal organizations because they are having arms, they are having training, they had become hardcore by fighting a war, and they will act like mercenaries. You look at the condition of countries in which weapon has been pumped. The best example is Afghanistan. When USSR attacked Afghanistan, prior to that, it was almost a normal country. Even ladies were going to schools. There were tourists coming. Hotel business was there. Everything was there. It was a big market of Indian cinema. People were going trading. Everything was being done. Once USSR attacked, then America and Pakistan pumped in huge amount of small weapons, not large weapons, small weapons. And these small weapons, when they went in the hands of those fighters, those weapons never came back. And look what is the condition of Afghanistan today. So I'm afraid that pumping of these small weapons, there are two things in war. One is a huge weaponry which can only be used by a regular army or military. That cannot be misused by private organizations. But these small weapons, shoulder fire weapons, these rifles, assault rifles, they can be used by individual organizations and even drug cartels, weapon cartels. So I worry. So best thing is that as soon as possible, Zelensky must talk to Putin directly without intermediates.
Zelensky wants to talk with Putin, but Putin says that he has a doubt that Zelensky is not able to fulfill any agreement because Zelensky, like a doll in Western hands.
What I'm saying, that's the reason I'm saying, without any intermediary, without any third party, the two parties must sit on a table. They can use a neutral platform. A neutral platform, even like India, can be used.
And moreover, I say Ukraine and Russia, it looks like Ukraine and Russia is ready to hear the Indian propositions about peace. Because India is a huge country, a very important country, and in India...
Non-aligned.
Yes, and India has a good communication with Russia and Ukraine. India is between the West and East, between the China and the United States. So I think your country has a good time for international policy.
I think India is the only country who can provide a neutral platform if both parties want to talk. Because unfortunately, even the neutral countries of Europe, like Switzerland or like Austria, they are also not neutral in this time because they have also sanctioned Russia, and China is totally going pro-Russia. So the only neutral platform you guys can come to talk each other can be India if both parties want. I think so. This is my personal thinking.
Okay, thank you a lot, Yuret, for this help and for these ideas. Maybe you want to add something. Maybe I haven't asked you something. You should address the Ukrainian audience and international audience in finishing this dialogue.
I wish peace for your country. And that's what India wants, peace.
Thank you. Thank you a lot, Dr. Gulresh Sheikh, columnist, political scientist, and I'm sure a big friend of Ukraine and all peaceful people around the world. Thank you, Gulresh.
I'm a friend of every peaceful nation, every peaceful human being on the earth. I don't want violence in this on this globe.
Thank you a lot. I'm sure it's only the first part of our dialogue, and we will continue our dialogue in future because we have much more between India and Ukraine never we did before. Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Ruslan.
Bye.